about finding sample size. So we start with the formula for the margin of error, and that is equal to Z star times the square root of P hat times Q hat over N, where all of that is in parentheses, or in the radical is what I meant to say. So we want to solve for N. If we want to solve for N, we have to get it out of the root. So the first thing we do is we square. So when we square on both sides, we get the margin of error squared equals Z star squared. And then when we square the square root, it disappears. And we just get a fraction P hat over Q hat divided by N. Now, again, we are solving for N, and N is in the denominator. In order to get N out of the denominator, we have to multiply by N on both sides. So I'm going to do that. And we're going to get and then, of course, the N's cancel on this side. And we get the margin of error squared times N equals Z star squared times P hat Q hat. And then the final step is to divide by the margin of error squared. So we want to use the formula N equals Z star squared P hat Q hat over margin of error squared. Okay, so now I want to apply that. I suggest that you write that down and take it to your test. I have no problem with that. The algebra is the same all the time. So what we want to do now is we want to actually use it in an application. So here is one where it is believed as many as 25% of adults over 50 never graduated from high school. We want to see if the percentage is the same among 25-year-old to 30-year-old age group. So how many must we survey in order to estimate the proportion of non-grads within 6% with 90% confidence? So remember, I'm just going to use this formula. The problem here is that N is what I want to find, but I am also going to have Z star. And we talked about how to find Z star on a previous video. So remember, I've got my 90 in the middle, and I've got 0.05 here, 0.05 here, and this is my Z star. And so I'm going to find it doing inverse norm 0.9501, and I am going to pop that out as fast as I can so the video doesn't become terribly long. I'm afraid to trust my memory. And we get 1.645. Oops. Okay, so using the formula here, I need 1.645 squared. P hat is 0.25. Q hat then would be 0.75. And the margin of error we want is 0.06. And so now I'm just going to pop that through a calculator. 1.645 squared times 0.25 times 0.75 divided by 0.06 squared. And I get 140.9388. And it does not matter how small the fractional part is, we round up. So we would say 141 to be surveyed. Now, if we want to do the same problem, but we only want a 4% margin of error, okay, all we have to do this one is change a 0.06 to a 0.04. And when we run that through the calculator, we get 317.11. But remember how I told you no matter how small, we round up to 318 to be surveyed. And 3%, same process. We're going to just change it to 0.03 squared. And, oops, I'm sorry. I'm shaking. It's hard to hold the camera. A little bit hard. And we get 563.75. We'll call that 564. All for now. I'll see you later.